Hey everybody, welcome to SwJ. Today we're picking up where we left off last time, working on a thigh patch on my pair of jeans. I've had since somewhere around 98, 99, somewhere in there. So, we'll also be talking about DIY church repair. As odd as that might sound. It's a good story. Stick around for it, please. It's actually pretty good. Um, so we'll get into this patch and get into our story. It's a story of a 14th century church that is still in use today, and it has a clock tower attached to it. Now, the church, as many churches are these days, it's struggling. You know, they're having a hard time keeping the faith, keeping people coming to church, and keeping a building like a 14th century stone church up to snuff is not an inexpensive task. So, cheers. So this church, the clock tower had been stopped working, stuck at 1202 for 12 years. So over a decade, the poor pastor, or I can't remember what their denomination was, doesn't matter. The leader of the church had to put up with people saying, "Hey, did you know your clock tower is stuck at 1202?" Yeah, it's been that way for a while. Thanks for telling me. And so he finally figured he would do something about it. He went out and talked to some builders, and he was quoted £50,000 sterling. So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money just to make a clock work again. And the church didn't have it. You know, it's like I say, it's tough for churches these days. So after hearing about this, there were two local people who took it upon themselves to go into the church tower and check out the clock mechanism. And when I think about the quote, you know, £50,000 sterling, for an actual company to come in and do what needed to be done here, I can almost understand it. Thankfully, two dedicated local people took it upon themselves and went in there and had a look. And what they found was a lot of neglect. I didn't want the first words out of my mouth to be dead pigeons, but that was I would summarize as a lot of neglect. Apparently no one had been up there in a very long time, so there were quite a number of dead pigeons, and all of the working parts, all of the moving parts of the watchtower, or the clock tower, sorry. I was thinking Hendrick all along the watchtower. The clock tower. It was corroded. It was dry. Like there was no lubrication. It was, you know, aside from the pigeon bits and excrement, there had been no lubrication. It was probably the only thing keeping that place going for a long time. But ended up gumming everything up in the end, bad enough that it stopped working. So there was some cleaning to be done. And in addition to the elbow grease, they used actual grease. They lubed everything up. And the article said done with a can of WD-40, but my assumption would be that there would have been multiple cans of WD-40 gone through on this, in addition to the elbow grease and grease. And they figured out how to set the time. Use the time from their phones, so it's satellite accurate now. And started working. All the gears started moving again, and it's apparently keeping good time. Well, as good as it was before. So, really awesome news. I'm a DIY guy. I like doing things without the massive attached bill. And this is what I find a lot of the time is all something needs is a little bit of maintenance. Like if you have something that's just slowed down and just isn't working anymore, a lot of the times if you take it apart and look at it, you can figure out what's wrong. You know, a little bit of lubrication here, you know, you find a burnt something, you know, you see a circuit board with a brown spot or a black spot on it, there's your problem. You know, if you can find that circuit board, or if you can bring it to an electronics repair place and they can repair, or they can replace that piece, a lot of the times you'll have a fully functioning device again. And I understand it's a big investment in time doing these things. And you might feel that you can't do it, but you can. Anybody can. All you have to do is get past what they call learned helplessness. If you are the type of person that thinks of something and you just go immediately, I can't do that, I call that learned helplessness. Because you may have tried once before and it was either not explained to you well, or YouTube didn't exist so that you couldn't watch 20 different videos on 20 different methods on how to do what you're trying to do. It's out there. Like if you type the words into the internet and hit enter, you'll find stuff on how to do it. And if not exactly that, then similar things. And if there's nothing out there and you do figure it out, put it out there, because other people will be wondering the same thing. And the more quality information there is out there, the better. Yeah, a lot of the times all something needs is a little bit of grease, a little bit of elbow grease, sometimes some WD-40. And yeah, WD-40 makes the world go around, I swear. Actually, I don't really advocate WD-40 that much. I use it. It's one of those things where I use it kind of when you need to lubricate something and clean it out at the same time. It's one of those things where, I go through a lot of it, but I'm kind of like washing parts out as I'm lubricating kind of thing. You know, the times where you don't want to use a solvent, but you need to do some, you know, clean something out and lube it at the same time. And there are better penetrating sprays, there are better lubricating sprays, but it's a good all-purpose, all-around. You know, it's the go-to. It's the standard for a reason, and it's probably because it's not all that expensive. It's not cheap, you know. Anything that you have to buy, any sprays, any oils, anything like that, it's not cheap. But relative, compared to a lot of the higher end stuff, you know, where you're looking at 15 to 20 bucks a can sometimes, and you know, you can pick up WD-40, $6 a can sometimes, you know. So, yeah. Well, that's another episode. And another patch done. Look at this. Look at this. That's a whole patch. That's a rare thing on this channel. Let's pull some pins. I'm excited. Get to see it from the other side. That's an entire week's worth of episodes right there, boys and girls. Let's see it. Let's see the payoff. What does it look like? Oh yeah. Camouflage and camouflage. Camo on camo, camo under camo, camo coming out from under camo with more camo beside it. And more camo under it. So this apparently has turned into a mixed camouflage leg. Neat. And I am okay with that. These will be interesting once they're done. Thanks so much for joining me. I do really appreciate the time we get to spend together. Till next time, keep chilling. Remember, it doesn't matter. It's not that important. Just do your thing. Be you. And don't forget your cookie. Peace.